The Ravens might have built one of the strongest rosters in the entire NFL. They re-signed key players, brought in Derrick Henry, added depth on defense. On paper, they're loaded, but there's one huge concern quietly lurking around this team. And if they don't handle it right, it could tear down everything they've worked so hard to build. Sound dramatic? It's not. This one issue could flip the entire season upside down. What makes it worse? There's no easy fix. And even more alarming, it could hit hard in the very first weeks of the season. While everyone's focused on the star names and the hype, there's a much quieter, much more dangerous red flag flying over Baltimore right now. One that could hit at the worst possible time. So stay with me, because what I'm about to show you could completely change the way you look at the 2025 Ravens. And if things fall apart, don't say nobody saw it coming. Go Ravens. Let's be honest. When the Ravens signed Derrick Henry, we all got hyped. It's hard not to get excited about one of the most dominant backs of the last decade. He's a human wrecking ball who shrugs off tackles like they're nothing. And even at 31 years old, the man nearly hit 2,000 yards last season. That's just insane. But here's the part we can't ignore. He's already racked up over 2,300 carries in his career. That's a serious amount of wear and tear. And in the NFL, no matter how tough you are, Father Time always comes knocking. Yeah, the numbers are impressive, but they don't tell the whole story. At this stage of his career, every game is a test. Does he still have that burst? Can he keep it up over 17 weeks plus the playoffs? He proved in 2024 that he's still elite, but now comes the real challenge. Doing it again against faster, stronger defenses. And the moment he slows down, even a little, the critics will be waiting. Is Derrick Henry washed? Takes are already loaded. That's the harsh reality. But here's the real concern. It's not just about Henry. The Ravens' offense is built around their run game. If he starts to slow down, the impact isn't just on him. It ripples through the entire system. Defenses start stacking the box, daring Lamar to throw more, and suddenly the whole rhythm changes. Yes, Baltimore gave Henry a big contract, and that shows confidence. But if the production drops, they'll have to reinvent their offensive identity mid-season. And that's a huge risk for a team with Super Bowl goals. That's why this isn't just about Henry staying dominant. For this to work, the Ravens need other pieces to step up, especially two key players on O-line who still have a lot to prove. It doesn't matter if you have a beast like Derrick Henry in the backfield. If the O-line can't open holes, you're stuck. And for the Ravens in 2025, that's the big test. Two guys are right at the center of this issue. Daniel Foley, stepping into his second year as a starter, and Andrew Voorhees, who needs to prove he can handle the pressure at left guard. These two have to grow up fast, because if they can't hold it down, the run game collapses. And if Henry has to fight for every single yard behind a shaky line, the wear and tear adds up fast, and his age starts to show. Everything's connected. Foley has the size and potential, but he was inconsistent last year. Voorhees spent most of 2024 recovering, and now he's being thrown into the fire. The Ravens don't have time to wait for these guys to catch up mid-season. They need them locked in from week one. If the interior O-line struggles, you can forget about clean pockets, play-action plays, or big gains from Henry. It all starts in the trenches. The coaching staff knows it, too. That's why this offseason is crucial. Foley and Voorhees don't need to be superstars, but they do need to be reliable. That takes chemistry, hard work, and smart in-game decisions, because defensive coordinators are going to test them early and often. Expect blitzes, gap pressure, and stunts right up the middle. If those two don't hold their ground, the whole offense is going to feel it. There's no shortcut. The run game lives and dies with this interior line. But if the protection holds up, that opens the door for so much more than just running lanes. When the ground game is clicking, this Ravens offense becomes a full-blown nightmare. If you watched the Ravens last season, you notice it right away. The offense ran through the run game. When Henry was cooking and Lamar Jackson was keeping defenses honest with his legs, Baltimore looked unstoppable. The passing game came alive mostly because the run game was setting the tone. That formula worked until the divisional round. And now, in 2025, they're sticking with the same identity. But here's the risk. When your offense leans as heavily on physical play, any dip in performance throws the whole thing off balance. If Henry can't match last year's production, or if Lamar gets banged up, the offense could fall apart fast. That's not an exaggeration. When your game plan revolves around pounding the rock, you need rhythm. You need power, timing, and trust between the line and the backfield. If one part breaks down, defenses know exactly how to shut it all down. That forces the Ravens to play outside their comfort zone, and that's when things start getting shaky. That's why finding offensive balance is critical. Yes, having Lamar and Henry together is a major weapon, but if Baltimore doesn't develop new ways to threaten defenses, quick passes, creative tight end usage, more involvement from the wideouts, they risk becoming predictable. And in the NFL, predictability is a killer. Defensive coordinators are already breaking down ways to take away the Ravens' run game. If Baltimore doesn't evolve, they could stumble early, right where they expect to dominate. But there's one clear sign the Ravens do understand the risk. The contract they gave Henry this offseason. That deal tells you they still believe in this formula, and they're all in on making it work again.
All right, we're already past the halfway point of this video, but before we continue, I noticed you haven't left a like yet. It's really important because it helps YouTube keep showing you my content so I can keep bringing you the best news about the Baltimore Ravens. So go ahead and hit that like button. It's free and it really helps. Thanks. Now let's get back to it.
The Ravens didn't hand Derrick Henry a $30 million deal over 2 years just because of his name or past glory. That contract is a massive vote of confidence. In a league where most teams hesitate to pay big money to running backs, Baltimore went the opposite direction and bet big. That tells you exactly what kind of identity this team wants in 2025: physical, punishing, and built on the ground game. But this deal isn't just about the now. It shows the Ravens see Henry as more than just a short-term weapon. He brings more than just highlight reel runs. He brings playoff experience, locker room leadership, and stability at a position that usually sees constant turnover. And make no mistake, Baltimore didn't bring him in to be a part-time piece. They want him to be the engine, the centerpiece. That also means the pressure is sky high. If Henry doesn't produce, the narrative flips instantly. The critics will be loud. Why did the Ravens waste money on a declining vet? This offense is stuck in the past. That conversation's just waiting to happen. And if Baltimore stumbles out a gate, that contract is the first thing people are going to point at. September could set the tone for the entire season. But there's a way to take some of that weight off Henry's shoulders, and the Ravens are already working on it. The offense is evolving. They're opening things up, spreading the field, and trying to create a more balanced attack. That might be the key to keeping Henry fresh and dangerous when it matters most. As much hype as there is around Derrick Henry, the Ravens know they can't drop the whole season on the back of a 31-year-old running back. That's why the offense is shifting to bring more balance. And it starts with guys like Zay Flowers and Isaiah Likely. Flowers is poised to take on an even bigger role in 2025, stretching the field and forcing defenses to loosen up. Likely gives Lamar a reliable safety valve underneath, especially when he needs to get the ball out quick. All of this helps ease the burden on the ground game and on Henry himself. Lamar Jackson is still the key to everything. When he's healthy and in rhythm, his dual-threat ability stresses defenses every single snap. And the more he can mix in quick throws, read options, and well-timed play action, the harder it'll be for anyone to game plan this offense. That keeps Henry from having to take 25 to 30 carries a game, use him more strategically, save his legs, and he becomes even more dangerous in the postseason. There's another bonus to spreading the load: unpredictability. As dominant as the Ravens were running the ball in 2024, there were games where the game plan felt a little too obvious. That can't happen again. With more developed weapons around Lamar and a young O-line that could take a big step forward, this offense has a real chance to be way more versatile. And that's how you punish tired, confused defenses. Using Henry as part of the puzzle, not the entire picture, is the smartest way forward. And if they get that balance right, the Ravens can keep their ground game nasty without leaning too hard on one guy. That's how Baltimore stays dangerous, whether Henry's getting 30 touches or 13. The Ravens' success in 2025 will come down to one question: Can they maximize Derrick Henry without putting the whole weight of the season on him? The trust in the veteran is obvious, from the size of the contract to how the offense is being built around him. But the warning signs are just as clear. If the offensive line doesn't grow up fast, if the run game stays too one-dimensional, or if Henry wears down before December, this plan could fall apart at the worst possible time. Talent won't be enough. Execution across the board is what'll decide this team's ceiling. Baltimore has everything it needs to contend, but only if every piece holds up, if Foley and Voorhees can step up, if Lamar spreads the ball more efficiently, and if the offense finds new ways to stress defenses, Henry will be free to do what he does best, break tackles and wear teams down. But if that doesn't happen, the collapse could come quicker than anyone expects. So now I want your take. Are the Ravens right to put this much faith in Derrick Henry? Or could this move end up backfiring late in the season? Drop your thoughts in the comments. This season's going to be a wild ride, and this debate is just getting started.
And if you, just like me, are passionate about the world of football and want to learn more about the Ravens' legacy, don't leave this video without sharing it with that friend who is also a Baltimore Ravens fan and will love this content. See those video suggestions on your screen? The first one was handpicked just for you, and the other is a recommendation from YouTube itself. See you there, and until the next video, go Flock.